My name is Anne Turner. I'm the PR and Marketing Communications Programme Leader and a Senior Lecturer here at Queen Margaret University. And I'm going to explain a little bit about our course, and hopefully if you then have some questions, be very delighted to take those. In the presentation, I'm going to share with you some information about our course, and there's time, hopefully at the end, as I said, to have some questions. We've been running a very successful PR and marketing programme at Queen Margaret University for many years now. Every few years we review the programmes to ensure that they're current, and last year we refreshed the content and the design. And that process involved us talking to employers and graduates, current students and the industry bodies to make sure that the programmes that we're delivering are going to really help our graduates step into careers in marketing and public relations and communications, and perhaps even event management. And at that point last year, we took the opportunity just to refresh the name, and we're now PR and Marketing Communications. PR and marketing are fields of practice, so there are some 95,000 practitioners in the UK working for organisations and consultancies as PR or comms officers and managers, and there are at least another 153,000 working in marketing or advertising. And the really good news about that is that there's a lot of need to have graduates there, so 70% working currently are graduates. So there's a big demand from the industry as well, so that's really good news if you're studying with us. Nearly all organisations that you can think of will have a marketing department and a communication specialists, whether they're called public relations officers or communications directors, but they will be working for organisations too. Public relations and marketing are also industries, and again, what's really good news is that they're growing industries. So the PR and comms industry contributes about 14.9 billion a year to the UK economy, and the industry bodies are the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, known as CIPR, and the PRCA are the Public Relations and Communications Association. Our course is recognised by both of these bodies. We're one of the few select universities that work with the PRCA. And in terms of marketing, one of the industry bodies that we work again very closely with is the Marketing Society Scotland. And this year, some of our fourth years actually worked with some of our marketing lecturers and colleagues, and they've launched a QMU Student Marketing Society as well. And that's a great opportunity for them to invite guests in from industry, talk to students, hold social events and networking events. Our students help to run things like annual awards as well, so you get lots of really good opportunities to meet and network with top practitioners in Scotland. And thirdly, PR and marketing is also an academic discipline, so there are a lot of scholars researching into areas and publish research in journals and write texts, and many of our teaching staff here at QMU are very active researchers and authors of a number of key texts, and present papers of the sort of latest thinking of their research around conferences around the world. So in a soundbite, if I was to try and sort of sum up what marketing and public relations are, then maybe I would say that, you know, marketing sells the product or services, and PR sells the company. Obviously, it's a little bit more complicated than that, and the relationship's a bit more complex. And one of the things that public relations does is manage the relationship between the organisation and its various stakeholders, so people that the organisation works with. So it manages relationships between the employees. It might be government, regulators, shareholders, the media, and in its promotional role, it helps marketing manage relationships with the customers as well. Now, traditionally, PR and marketing were very distinct elements. However, especially with digital channels now, the lines are really blurred, and both come under the heading of integrated communications. So you might work with influencers promoting your brand on social media, or you might develop communication strategies to support your employee engagement program. You might write a newsletter for your suppliers or create interesting content about your business on LinkedIn, writing news releases to go to the press, create a short video or TikTok, or a podcast for your website, producing a financial statement for your shareholders and investors, or, which is what we're seeing very much at the moment, developing crisis response plans for your company as it faces, very uncertain times, especially in the case of a pandemic like we're going through at the moment. And so you need a real range of knowledge and competencies and skills to advise and counsel senior management teams on how, what, and when they should communicate to stakeholders. And you need this knowledge and skills and competencies to manage and implement communication plans as well. So your job would be very, very varied and definitely never a dull moment. So, as I said, we take an integrated approach, making sure that our students learn about the industries and looking at how they started. So, top left, you'll see that there's an advert there for Lucky Strike cigarettes. And one of the founders of public relations, Edward Bernays, he was employed by the cigarette manufacturer to promote cigarettes, and rather bizarrely, he was asked to promote the colour green as well. Now, this was about sort of 1920s time, and he cleverly saw a huge opportunity to make his client a load of money. And the idea that he came up with was to get women to smoke more. Some did smoke at that time, but usually in private. And so what he did was he equated smoking in public with female emancipation. And in 1929, he launched the Torches of Freedom public relations campaign. And he paid women to smoke their torches of freedom in the Easter Parade in New York. And you can see here in the posters, he was pushing the benefits of smoking as a good way for the ladies to keep their slender figure. And we would maybe, find that quite offensive nowadays, but back in the time, that was how they were promoting it. So in some ways, some advertising hasn't changed very much because it still focuses on people's insecurities and self-esteem and pushing particular products as the cure or the answer, and then telling us, of course, that we're worth it. So PR developed alongside marketing, and another big influence was from government relations, especially during World War II, and we had a Ministry of Information in the UK, and other countries all had their sort of comparable divisions. So whether you're in Germany or Russia or Japan, and they were using propaganda during the wartime to kind of win the hearts and minds of people. And then in terms of in the 60s, if we jump forward to the 1960s, as consumerism was taking off, then lots of advertising agencies started to broaden out from just advertising, and they became sort of marketing and public relations agencies. So that's how the sort of industries have developed over the last century, and nowadays, of course, with huge, fast technological change, it's impacting massively on public relations and marketing industries. So now we need to communicate through a host of more channels, whether it's social media, like Instagram or YouTube, or more traditional channels like mass media, newspapers, TV, or radio. To make the impact, we need to be a really good storyteller and a sense maker. So those are kind of two key things that we will help support students with, and getting that sense of how do we tell this story? How do we make sense of data and information for different audiences so that they can understand what we're saying and be compelled by the arguments that we're putting forward. And we need to do that in such a way that it kind of cuts through all the noise and clutter of the internet. And we need to kind of think about how we can be really creative with the content so that other people want to share it and watch it and read it and listen to it. And this is, I think, one of the elements that makes our course quite different from others, because we're in this suite of programs that deliver film and media and communications and theatre and film. We are able to offer production skills such as video making and editing and photography, script writing, journalistic writing, and we have a number of colleagues who, are so talented at this and have won lots of awards doing it. And this is a really special extra part that we can offer for our PR and marketing students, which I think is really important, because it's one of the key things that employers have been saying to us, that visual communication is very, very important, and they're looking for people that can tell stories through visual communication. And so with this course, we're providing those opportunities for you to develop those skills across the years that you're studying with us. But it's also important, as well as kind of being able to create all this content, it's really important to be able to measure it as well and make sure that it's being effective and that you're evaluating how successful it is. So we have modules that help students make sense and gain insights from this mass big data that we have access to nowadays. And you'll learn how to analyse and interpret these effects of your communication. And we use various tools like Google Analytics, as well as more specialist industry software like Roxhill and Gorkana. Now, if you have a little look at the bottom centre, there's a logo here, the QMU take. And this is an example of how practical our course is as well. The second years a group of second years designed this logo and organised an event to help me launch an initiative that is all about listening and getting lots of feedback from students to help us continuously improve our courses. And the QM Take, we're encouraging students to make short podcasts, about 3 to 5 minutes, and then share those conversations with other students. So it could be about anything. It could be about how brilliant their placement was, or how good their study abroad semester was, or how we could improve facilities around the campus. So there'll be a whole load of topics that students can feed back to us on. And I think this is kind of one of the examples which really illustrates the QMU values, that we care very much about student experience and want to find new ways to improve it. And I think this is a good indicator of also how dedicated all our staff are, because in things like in the annual Student Star Awards, people within our division of media communication and performing arts are very often nominated and win prizes in that, but whether it's excellent teaching or engaging ways of assessing and providing feedback, or most inspirational and supportive staff member, etc. So I've just popped up a slide that gives you a breakdown of what it's like across the 4 years of our programme of PR and marketing communications. And as I've already mentioned, a number of things that we cover in the programme, but this will give you sort of a complete picture. And each year it kind of builds on the previous year. So as an example, in year 1 for digital content creation, you learn to write and be very creative in content that you're producing, and how to curate that content. And you need to kind of think about how it can be informative but also entertaining and shareable. And we also at this point kind of introduce you to some of the video production, so you learn the techniques with cameras, both photography stills cameras and video cameras. And to complement that, we introduce you to the kind of history of public relations and marketing, introduce you to the industries, wider than just PR and marketing, but also into media industries as well, because it's really important that you understand how other industries work with public relations and marketing. In year 2, as an example, you will further develop your journalistic skills with content creation and content management systems, managing websites, creating content for websites. In media campaigning, you work in groups for a live client, and here you're producing a media campaign, and then we go on to be able to measure that in a module, analytics, insights and impact. So you're learning there the kind of industry techniques of how to make sense and gain insights from data, and ensuring that the communications or marketing plans that you're putting in place are actually being very effective and delivering what you want them to deliver. The course is quite practical, so students develop a really good understanding of how businesses work, particularly e-commerce now. It's such a big part, especially if you're maybe starting up your own business and selling through sites, whether it's like Etsy or other various Amazon Marketplace, etc. So to complement that, we also get students to think about event management, and they take in groups, they create their own event, and students can kind of design and plan and promote and actually stage their own events. And what makes it even harder is that I never give them any budget on which to do that. So they have to do it all from scratch and find really creative ways of making a successful event. Going into 3rd year, you get a lot of live client work, developing here sort of strategic communication proposals, and this sort of goes beyond just working with the media, and it might involve trying to lobby government for regulation changes or communicating with employees. Perhaps it's looking at organisations and looking at doing a culture audit or proposing a new brand strategy for different companies. And students also develop a sort of set of marketing and advertising recommendations in a module like advertising and marketing communication. There's another module in 3rd year, experiential marketing, and here, for instance, students, you'll learn about the importance of building strong relations with customers and finding kind of creative ways to get consumers to have kind of an emotional response to the product or service. And it might be that kind of positive response that you have, they're hoping that then that will extend to the brand itself, that you as a customer then will perhaps be more loyal and buy that brand or use that service. And it could be anything from whether it's, you know, an organisation staging a big film festival or music festival or a big sporting event. But it could be, you know, for other companies, it might be like IKEA, where they kind of encourage people to come and live in their store for a weekend and find out all about their products and things like that. So it's kind of finding creative ways to kind of give consumers new experiences, and hopefully that will make them feel more positive about the brand. So sometimes we see sort of experiential marketing as a kind of the opposite of all of the digital communications as well, that people want to kind of get back to kind of that touch and feel of products and services. In 3rd year, you're also able to select an option module, and we have a big range of modules from there's media options, there's business, marketing, some events management options, some film options, as well as more public relations and communication options. So some really good choices there. And you can start in 3rd year and 4th year to kind of tailor your programs a little bit more through the selection of those options to areas that you might really find interesting and maybe want to go and work for once you've graduated. In 4th year, students go out on a placement. So we have a compulsory placement, which is 150 hours, or that's about 20 working days with an organisation. And you could take this in the UK, or you could go abroad as well. There's nothing stopping you from doing a placement abroad if you would like. And we help students to find a host, and we stage an event at the end of 3rd year. And we invite in a whole lot of different organisations that can offer our students placement, and they come onto campus for a speed interviewing event. And it's a really effective way of matching up students and hosts, and it is good fun, and it's also a great experience for when you then go forward for job interviews later. So we get various companies, there's public relations consultancies and marketing agencies, public sector like Scottish Government, or big charities and corporations as well. So there's a range of different organisations that offer placements to our students. And I have to say that our students do really impress the hosts that they work for. And sometimes what's great about it is that people get offered permanent jobs on the back of their performance on placement. So this has happened a number of times, nearly every year that there are cases. So organisations like Scottish Government, Dobbies, the Gardening Centre, as well as PR agencies like Holyrood PR and Grayling, they've all employed our students who were on placement with them. And then in fourth year also, as well as the placement module, you're going to be doing a big piece of independent research in your dissertation. And this can be a sort of traditional written dissertation where you're undertaking some research to answer research questions that you've posed, but it could also be production. So you can do it in video and stills images as well. So that kind of covers some of the things that you would be studying with us and some key aspects of the degree. But I think what makes our programme sort of stand out in particular is that it's all the extra things, it's all the extra opportunities that you get from studying with us. And that can be that you can go and have a semester studying abroad. So we have exchange institutions in Sweden, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America. And you can imagine that things like Australia are very popular with our students because you can go from summer here straight into an Australian summer as well. And as I mentioned earlier, our course is recognised by the industry bodies, the Chartered Institute of Public Relations and the PRCA. And while you're a student on our programme, you can become a student member of those industry bodies, and that gives you access to their online webinars and courses, and you can attend all the industry events as well. And for instance, Laura Sutherland, who's the kind of current chair of the CIPR Scotland group, she asks students each year to volunteer for an annual conference and festival that she runs called PR Fest, and our students also are invited to help out at the annual CIPR awards ceremony and dinner, and that's a great opportunity for getting to meet people, senior people in the industry and start to make those all important contacts. So I think those things are really positive additional aspects. And we also have the university runs a mentoring program, and we have a lot of our mentors in public relations and marketing. We get lots of offers from industry practitioners to mentor our students, and they can work with you throughout your time with us. And a good example is that with Scottish Government, for instance, we now have about 16 mentors in our area that work in the communications and marketing side of Scottish Government. So that's another really positive thing that we can offer students. And what's really nice about it is that we're seeing, QMU graduates from a few years back who've worked in industry now, and they're now offering to mentor current students, which is really lovely. It's a really nice cycle. So I think when you join QMU, you become part of this community, this kind of family, and it provides you with a really supportive environment in which to kind of learn and develop and grow. And it is a really nice cycle that we have, that students build their contacts, they get a mentor, they go on placement, they get offered a job, they're gaining experience on that career ladder, and then they're ready to kind of offer to mentor other students at QMU and offer placements, and then hopefully another set of jobs on top of that. So it's a really important aspect that we are that community. Our students also get to, as I've mentioned, get to work for lots of live clients, and what's quite nice is that sometimes you can then apply for funding to implement some of those plans. that you might have developed in third year modules in strategy and PR theory and strategy. And also through options, like we have a student initiated option where you can actually do work for a particular client and get credit for it for your course. That gives you a chance then to kind of use some of those funds to actually implement your own ideas that you've developed. So it's a really good experience, that of actually getting lots of practical experience. And we encourage students to enter competitions and have opportunities, because we deliver lots of master's courses that students can go on with us as well in various areas. So if you decide that perhaps, you know, a master's isn't just for you straight away after your undergraduate, then you can jump straight into employment. And this is just a kind of a tiny list of what's available really, and what our existing students actually do. So you might have already heard that the QMU has a really strong employment statistic, and that our graduates are finding jobs once they have finished on the course. And actually our PR and marketing course outperforms that, because we've had about 100% employability for a good number of years, and our graduates are really sought after, and they're snapped up very quickly at the end of the year. And lots of companies now don't even advertise their positions, they come straight to us because they know the calibre of our graduates. You know, it speaks volumes itself in terms of the opportunities that are open to you when you graduate from one of our degrees. Okay, so I've kind of covered things quite quickly, and if you have any questions, then you can type them in the chat and I'll try and answer those for you. Hello, Becky. Similar to other courses, we have very few exams. We don't find that they're always the best way to assess students, so a lot of it is on coursework. We will have a real mix of different assessments. So there might be some essay writing, you write reports, you'll create production work, perhaps, you know, develop a website. So there's lots of sort of different types of assessment, and we often have, you know, that variety that suits lots of people for different modules. So in terms of actual exams, not very many, but we kind of work you through. Sometimes you do group work and sometimes it's individual work. So there's a real variety there. Hi, Eva. What's the difference between PR and media communications? So for us, we obviously have all of the marketing side and lots of the marketing modules, which makes us very distinct from the media and communications degree. We're kind of focusing more on public relations, but we do share modules. So for instance, media and communication and PR and marketing communications will both work in media campaigning together, because it's relevant for both of those kind of cohorts to learn how to kind of campaign and use the media to get messages out to different organizations. So we are very kind of focused on getting you ready to move into the industries, with whether you want to work in marketing or whether you want to work in public relations. It could also be that you want to work in advertising or event management, and our degree kind of sets you up for those industries afterwards. Sarah, hi. In the first year of this course, do we have the opportunity to have a third extra subject, such as screenwriting? No, we have a sort of prescribed first and second year, so they're all kind of core modules there. And one of the reasons for that is that because we are recognised by the industry body, the Chartered Institute of Public Relations and the PRCA, it's important that we have the kind of right balance of modules so that you have the knowledge going forward that prepares you for the industry. So we make sure that you're getting all the basics in years 1 and 2, and then you have opportunities to expand that in third year and start to tailor it through electives and things like that.
Hi, could I just add in there? Sorry, I'm Emma Wood and I'm another lecturer on the course. That said, screenwriting is part of the core content that you'll be doing. So, and certainly if you choose to do a production dissertation in year 4, you could well do something around film that would involve screenwriting there. Graham Drysdale, our lecturer, is a real specialist in screenwriting, and there's a lot of focus put on that.
Okay, so if things do crop up later on, then please do email me at aturner@qmu.ac.uk. So please do feel free to send us an email as well. And hopefully you will be able to join us in September. We very much look forward to actually welcoming you and wish you well and health for the coming weeks.